Welcome, welcome, everybody. I am bringing up our next guest speaker, which is our host of this amazing, extraordinary event. He has been running this event for over 31 years, and his name is Mark Becker. And I'm proud to introduce him as he is known as the Yogi Man from Robin Williams. Mark Becker is known as a pioneer and a visionary who created the first New York City's first non-religious yoga center, herb shop, and holistic healing center in 1995.
1975.
75. Gotta put those glasses on. He also started Serenity Magazine in 1981, New Life Magazine in 1981, New Life Expo in 1990, and the first virtual expo in 2020. So on September 19, 1997, he received a proclamation from the borough president of Manhattan declaring a Mark Becker New Life Expo Magazine Day for Health Awareness. Beautiful. So this is what he brought to New York City. And today he's going to share everything he's learned in these 73 years of these expos and all these experts that he's been exposed to. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you, Mark.
Okay, so everybody, I don't even see my face yet. I wonder why. Okay, I'm live. So where do we go from here? Now, when I wonder why I just see your face, not my face.
You're on.
What happened? Oh, now I see. So, I'm going back to what I talked a little bit about before. In 1975, when I created everything that I created, I saw things that other people didn't see. And I even had to teach them this thing called yoga, which unless you were part of a Hindu yoga center, which I was a senior teacher for a man named Swami Satchidananda and a man named Swami Vishnudevananda, who had the Integral Yoga Institutes and the Shivananda Yoga Institutes. So unless you were part of that, you didn't know what yoga was. So in December 73, what I did was I went to the first health club in New York and talked them into this thing called yoga. And I taught yoga there. And people kept coming back to class and they didn't know why, but I knew why. It's because they felt different. Why they felt different? Because for the first time, their mind, their body, and the spirit came together. And they felt the spiritual feeling that they either never felt before or reminded them of how they used to feel. And they came back. So I opened my first yoga center. It was called Serenity in New York City. And a lot of people in this expo not only remember that, but they actually taught there at that time. Like yesterday, Stephen Halpern taught there, and Robert, many of the other people. So it was a mecca because there was no such thing as an expos in those times. And there were no such things as, honestly, kind of anything at that time. When I opened up the first holistic center, I was attracting people from all the boroughs and Connecticut and New Jersey and Pennsylvania, any place close to New York, because nobody had anywhere to go. It was almost like the Woodstock Festival, which I went to, that until you were there, you didn't realize that there were a lot of people like you. And in Woodstock, the beautiful thing about it was it validated us. We realized that, wow, we're not alone, and there's a lot of us. Well, same thing happened with the Serenity Healing Center, Yoga Center. All of a sudden, I kept attracting people, like-minded people, and they realized there were a lot of people like us. And so I created the first herb shop. Not only did I have 400 herbs in bulk, but it was the first place to buy herbal capsules and herbal tinctures in New York. And the people that I had studied with, the people that I had taught when I traveled around teaching yoga, all decided, when I asked them, yes, they would come to New York and teach in my center. And it was an old Jewish temple. It was 3 floors. It was a great yoga center. And they always used to come there and actually not only teach there, but live with me there for as long as they were there. Like, for instance, Ann Weekend was there 7 weekends a year, and Victoris Kavinskas was there 7 weekends a year. My herb teacher, Dr. Christopher, who created the first herbal capsules, and Nature's Way bought his company, and his name is still on their formulas. So, people started taking herbs. In fact, I remember I went to court 3 times the first year because they didn't even know what an herb shop was. They took me to court and they said, you need a pharmacist on premises. And I proved the pharmacist knew nothing about herbs at that time, and that herbs weren't a drug and they were part of the GRAS, the grass list, they were foods. And then I started carrying different products, like Kroger products and radionic products and magnets and crystals and products like spirulina and wheatgrass. It was the first place wheatgrass was sold in New York. Most of the products that people take for granted now weren't around in those days, and I helped introduce them. Energy techniques. My center was the Polarity Center, the International Polarity Center. So we turned polarity onto New York. But that's a little bit about myself. But the reason that I'm saying that is because, as Sherry said, not only am I a pioneer in this field, but I am a visionary. And I see things that other people, for some reason, don't. The 2 sayings that come to my mind was Robert Kennedy or John Kennedy, who said that some people see things that are and ask why, and I see things that never were and ask why not. And in the movie Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, so what happened is Butch turns to Sundance and said, Sundance, I feel like I have 20/20 vision and the rest of the world's wearing bifocals. Well, folks, the rest of the world is wearing bifocals, and it takes 30 years for people to finally wake up. The expos help them do that. This virtual expos help them do that. And how I help them do that is by bringing together most of my teachers or most of my friends to talk to you, to help you reach your maximum potential, to help you to open up your mind to possibilities. Because until you do that, until you switch your channel, you'll always be the same. You'll never grow. You'll never evolve. Now, when I first started in life, of course, I ate everything. And then I learned that, when I eat some foods, I feel better. When I don't eat some foods, I don't feel as good. So I started creating my own diet, which became a vegetarian. So I didn't eat chicken or meat since 1971, and smoked cigarettes since 1971 because I saw how it wasn't very good for my body. And if you just tune into yourself, now how do you tune into yourself? How do you tune to yourself? First, you have to learn how to relax. Most of us are stressed out. Most of us are not at ease. Most of us that are stressed out, we're at dis-ease. And most of us that are at dis-ease get disease. So the best way I found was to meditate. The first meditation I was doing was transcendental meditation. John Gray was on yesterday, so he knows. He was with the Maharishi for 9 years. And so basically, how do you meditate? So we have what's called a monkey mind. We have a million thoughts running through our mind. Now, if we contemplate on something, say, I think of this, it slows down to maybe 2, 3, 4 thoughts. Then we concentrate on something, really concentrate, slows our thought process to maybe 1 or 2 thoughts. When we meditate, it slows our thought process down so we get between the thoughts. Once we're between the thoughts, it's what Jung used to call the universal mind. And in that universal mind, we're tapped in to the energy that is within all of us. Once we're in that universal mind, we're tapped into everything that was ever thought of before. Because all the thoughts are in the air. That's why a lot of inventions are discovered in the same parts of the planet at the same time. Because somebody was able to grab that thought, that inspiration. Now, not only getting the thought is important, but you have to be centered enough to follow through on it. Most people say, oh yeah, I thought of that. Most people say, oh, you know what? I was going to do that. And those are the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And basically, if you're centered, if you're in time, on time with yourself, if you're clear, when you get that thought, you will follow through on that thought till the end. Very important. Okay, so how do we meditate? So thoughts are going through our mind, and you can either pick the breath or you could pick a mantra. A mantra is a Hindu word. Now, the Hindu language is an awesome language because every vibration, every word or every vibration in the word was picked according to the vibration it hit on the body. The mantra are like the holiest words because they really tune in to the different energies of the body. The universal mantra is Om. Om, Om, Om. And so if you chant a mantra in your mind, first you can do it out loud. Om, Om, or any Hindu mantra. Om. And then you start saying it very lightly. Om. So you're almost whispering it. Om. And then you say it mentally. Now you keep saying that mentally, and all of a sudden, you'll have different thoughts coming about. When you realize you have different thoughts coming about, go back to the Om, Om. And eventually, now those thoughts will again come back to you either during sleep or the rest of the day, but eventually you'll just hear the mantra. And that centers your mind. Now you can do that with the breath. Now, we don't know how to breathe properly unless we had breathing lessons. So that 50% of the people breathe incorrectly, 50% breathe correctly. So what you do is put your hand on your stomach, put your hand on your chest, and just breathe. Close your eyes and breathe. Now, when you breathe, does your stomach move? Does your chest move? If it moves, when you breathe in, when you inhale, is it moving out? Or is it moving in? When you exhale, is it moving out? Or is it moving in? Now, the proper way to breathe is when you inhale, your stomach should come out and chest should come out. Now, in the chat, if that didn't happen to you, let me hear. When you exhale, your chest should come in and your stomach should come in. Now, when you breathe that way, which is the proper way to breathe, this is what happens. You inhale, your stomach comes out, and your diaphragm drops down. That leaves extra room in your rib cage for your lungs to expand. Your lungs expand more, gives you more oxygen. When you exhale that way, stomach comes in, the diaphragm pushes up against your lungs, forces the carbon dioxide out of the lungs. Now, that's the reason we breathe. We breathe to bring more oxygen into our body and get more carbon dioxide out of the body. Now, if we have carbon dioxide out of the body, that's a good thing. If we have it in the body, then all of a sudden, the body doesn't have enough oxygen and searches through itself, goes to the lungs, finds the carbon dioxide in the body, takes some of that, and now we have carbon monoxide, which makes us even more tired. So if you breathe properly, you have more energy. If you meditate, you'll be centered. So now you have more energy and more centered. Now you want to balance yourself. How do we balance ourselves? With the breath. So now we should exhale twice as long as we inhale. Slows down the breath. Now, if we exhale twice as long as we inhale, we're getting all the carbon dioxide out of the body, out of the body. Animals that breathe very fast die very young, like dogs. Animals that breathe very slow live very long. Now, the yogis believe we're born with a certain amount of breaths. When we use up that breath, then we enter the next life. So we want as long as we can to use up those breaths. The only way we can do that is by breathing slower. The only way we can breathe slower is by exhaling longer. By exhaling twice as long as we inhale, we're conserving energy. We're creating a rhythm in the body. And after a while, every part of our body pulsates on that rhythm. So also when you're meditating, sit there and just count your breath. Again, exhale twice longer, inhale. Start with 4 and 8. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8. You'll inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Now, if you did that now, it would take up a little bit of time, but you would see, okay, let's do that. We'll do it for a minute. Let's everybody close your eyes, inhale for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale for 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale deep for 4, 3, 4, exhale slow for 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale very deep for 4. Exhale very slow for 8, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale very deep for 4. Bring all that energy in. And exhale very slow for 8. Send it all the different parts of the body. Just send it. And inhale for 4. And exhale for 8. Now see how you feel. And slowly open the eyes. Now, if you feel more relaxed, in the chat, just say, tell me if you feel more relaxed. We only did that for about 45 seconds. Imagine doing it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Now, we take one step further, and we inhale through one nostril and exhale through another nostril. And we switch off. It's called alternate nostril breathing, and that balances the energy with different sides of the body, the yin, the yang, the Shiva, the Shakti. So again, in the chat, I don't hear you. Did you feel more relaxed? Okay, so we learn how to meditate. We learn how to breathe. We got a lot of yeses. Yes, 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 yes. I'm seeing yeses all over the place. Now, again, when we do alternate nostril breathing, which we can teach at another time, you'll balance the energy in the body. So then how do we become more centered? So we use the breath and we use the mantra. So now we become centered. What do we do with that? All of a sudden we're getting these thoughts. We're going to follow through on the thoughts. In 1975, I was telling people, oh, everybody's going to do yoga. We're going to drink bottled water. We're going to have air purifiers, water purifiers. We're going to take herbs, use crystals, use magnets. People thought I was crazy, and I was, but I wasn't stupid because I realized that once you become centered, you start using more of your brain. Now, also in those days, I was experimenting with psychedelics. And I was experimenting in Berkeley University. In those days, we called it Berkeley University. And I was using 9% of my brain. So that's a big reason why I thought of certain things, but it was also a big reason why I realized, wow, not eating meat and chicken, I felt so much better. Not smoking cigarettes, I felt so much better. Doing yoga, wow, I feel like an awesome, incredible human being. Meditating, oh my Lord, life is grand. Now, there are people like myself or people that are on this expo yesterday, today, that all know this and all are teaching you this so that you know this. You can open your mind to all possibilities so you can reach your maximum potential. Because we are all the same. Now, I know a lot of states are opening up, legalizing a lot of psychotropic drugs, mushrooms, etc., and people are microdosing it, and therapists are giving it to the patients microdosing, because it does help you open your mind. Every culture knows that. Honestly, right now, I haven't done it in a very, very long time, but I had my mind open. But you have to open up your mind a bit. A good friend of mine was Timothy Leary. He actually lectured in all my shows till his death. Another one was Terence McKenna, who wrote a book, his book, Food for the Gods. And in fact, I introduced him on the stage, the psychedelic master of the old with psychedelic master of the new. And I introduced him at the expo. But again, we have to open up our mind. We have to switch our channel to possibilities. Now, water, we must drink, again, the most purified water you can. We must drink at least 8 glasses a day. We have to keep our body hydrated. That's really important. Drinking the proper water, eating the proper food. Now, again, meditate, breathe. But how about the mind? Now, the nervous system can't tell the difference between an actual experience and a vividly imagined experience. Whatever you imagine to be true is how your body, emotions, and psyche reacts to what's true. As an example, you can fantasize about sex and your sex glands will go, even though no sex is there. You could think about food, the best food that you love, and your salivary glands will go, even though no food is there. You can think about fear and be afraid. Yeah? And your adrenal glands will go, your anxiety will go, even though there's no fear there. There's a great book by Maxwell Maltz called Psycho-Cybernetics, and did an experiment. It goes, a man sees a bear running around the woods and he freaks out. Next day he sees a man dressed as a bear, but he doesn't know it's a man dressed as a bear. In his mind, it's a bear, and he freaks out. So he didn't freak out to what was true, he freaked out to what he believed was true. So you have to think good thoughts, you have to do good actions. Now, this is called karma. What you put out in the universe comes back to you in the universe. Cause and effect. So now you're thinking good thoughts, you're doing good actions. Now you have to purify this temple. This is our temple. We chose this body to live in this time. So we have to purify the body. Now, the best way I found to help purify the body, besides the food I put into it and the water I put into it, is by doing different exercises. To me, I found yoga is the best form of exercise. People do Qigong, people do Tai Chi. Do something and connect it spiritually. So when you're doing these exercises, you're connecting your mind and your body to the spirit. Now, what else goes with thinking good thoughts and doing good actions? Affirmation, visualization. Every day when you wake up, I am so happy this is the best day ever. I am so happy this is the best day ever. I am so happy this is the best day ever. And let your whole being realize this is the best day ever. That's the affirmation, the visualization. Visualize yourself just doing all the most amazing things. Visualize yourself doing everything positively that you want to do today. Everything to come out into a positive effect today. And your mind and your psyche and your emotion just follows the dots. It follows the dots to what you believe to be true. It follows the dots you visualize being true. Very important. Okay, so honestly, what I'm sort of explaining is the 8 steps of Raja Yoga. And so what it is that yama niyama, thinking good thoughts, doing good actions. Asana, perfecting this temple that we're in. Pranayama, breathing. But more than breathing, it's controlling the energy in the body. Because there's the breath and then there's the energy. We can live without the breath for quite a while, as everybody does every day in a hospital with people flatlining all over the place, but you can't live without the energy. And so what happens in a hospital when you flatline, boom, they shock your energy back up. Pratyahara, controlling the senses. This is why we do balance exercises in yoga. So when you do a balance exercise, close your eyes and you'll see you'll start wobbling. And so that's why you have to keep practicing. Now, we really don't see with our eyes or hear with our ears. Everything is through the mind. So meaning that you can see an accident and 10 people will have different views of what happened in the accident, according to their viewpoint. Because they rely too much on the senses. Go right through to the heart. You know, the heart was the first organ, even before the brain. This is why when you're born, a doctor says, oh, here's the heartbeat. There's no brain yet. We think with our heart when we're born. Again, the senses are mediums between the mind and the outside. Practice balancing yourself with your eyes closed. I used to watch in Manhattan, I used to watch them teach the blind people, and they used to walk on the street and they were great. I mean, at night, they're the ones to follow because they don't have to rely on their eyes. And then, of course, we enter the dhyana, dharana, and samadhi, right? So we're contemplating, we're meditating, and then when we connect with the rest of the universe, we go into bliss. So I believe that my time is up, and I'm happy that I had this time to share with you. Because usually I'm kind of working, but all I can say is we can all be visionaries as long as we open our mind to all possibilities. So again, easy steps: affirmation, visualization, breathing, meditating. Don't rely on your senses. Be positive. Life is perfect. So thank you. I'm happy that you're enjoying the expo. And you can reach me at mark@newlifeexpo.com. And that's the story.
Well, why don't you open it up to questions now?
Well, I have the next speakers in 4 minutes.
In 4 minutes, that's okay.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
So thank you, Mark. That was awesome. You had a captured audience. You had a lot of people here and they all saying thank you, thank you, thank you. So if anybody has a question to ask the master, unmute yourself or write in the chat, because coming up next is we have our next speaker, Josh. Everyone's saying thank you, Mark, in the chat, so they appreciate it. So,
You're very, very welcome. It's my pleasure.
yes.